Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode 14 of our speed builds. This one's an exciting one. It's for my husband. So he's like, I wish you could just build me a ranch for my knees. And I'm like, for your knees? I can't in real life, but I can in The Sims. So it gave me an idea. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna make it just like pretty much everything we have in real life and more. So there's a pool on the outside. There's indoor amenities. There's outdoor amenities. There's a giant kitchen. Yes, it's a very large kitchen for such a small footprint. It's got the ranch design, but then it's kind of like a ranch on a ranch because I wanted to give it like a multi-tier entrance, make it very interesting looking as though it is a multi-story house, but it's only one floor. So we have 4 bedrooms, we have 4 bathrooms, we have ample living space, lots to do. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe in the links below. And stay proud. Go out and do something magical, and let's go ahead and dive in now. And again, this one's for my husband. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day. Alrighty, so the first thing I'm doing is just going through and getting out kind of the floor plan. My idea is really to kind of think of my husband and like his needs as we get older, even though like we're only in like our early 30s. And so it's silly because like he's already like, my knees. He was like, I wish you could build me a ranch for my knees. And like we live in a 4-square house that has like 4 floors. And like our laundry's in the basement, and then our bedrooms are like on the 2nd floor. We have a laundry chute, which is nice, but yeah, our house just is not the house for like aging, I guess you could say. And I don't mind it, honestly, but I don't have those kind of problems like he does. So I thought this would be a really fun opportunity to be like, yes, I can definitely build you that house. Maybe not in real life, but I can certainly build it. And I thought that it'd be fun to make it feel like it was like a multi-level house. And so I wanted to give it sort of like a loft feel, which could be converted to a loft if somebody wanted to, and just add in like a little bit of floor there and like maybe some stairs or a ladder. But because I wanted to make this for the knees and to save the knees, that you would just kind of, you know, if you want that, you could add it definitely. So I'm just going through now and just kind of getting the front end kind of set up and done and getting like the first bits of like what I'm envisioning it to be. But when I thought of ranch, I sort of literally thought ranch too, where it was like sort of like almost like a barn style design on the front, or like schoolhouse design, where it just kind of had like a nice portico or like cupola or rotunda, whatever you call it. And then, you know, just kind of some really fun fencing and elements to kind of create the porch, or like sort of the veranda, if you want to call it that as well. But basically just kind of making it feel really homey. And so at first I was just kind of piddling around with like my ideas in the columns, but then I thought, you know, once I brought out the eaves of the house, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect opportunity, absolutely the perfect opportunity to come through and pop those out. So they're within the eaves and basically looking more like they're holding up everything. And I really wanted to give it that sort of like homey vibe. So there's like a lot of craftsman style elements, because again, this is sort of like an emulation of my house, which I live in like a 4-square. But like in 1 level. So you'll see 4 bedrooms come in, you're gonna see 4 bathrooms come in. There's a lot that fits in this little tiny footprint, believe it or not. So it's really fun to be able to kind of think about how much space you can really do if you like maximize your time and sort of like the features of the game that they've done. So I was able to use the new window update, which I'm super stoked about. Like, you have no idea. I was like, for the longest time, you couldn't even stack windows. Like, this is like a 6-year problem that they finally fixed. And I think it's just because they're maybe getting like different team members in too that are like able to kind of solve those problems that we've had for a long time. Plus they've also had the time to really circle back and think about that. But that's where I like that window, like I end up totally like doing something totally different here towards the end for that back, because I'm like, oh, the window update just came out, and so I'm like, I can make a really, really, really cool like back entrance right to the pool. It would be like phenomenal and fun, because when I think of like a beach ranch, or I think one of California, somewhere like that, like they all have pools. You look at aerials and like every single, it's just like you can see as much blue as you can red roofs. So I was like, oh, like we gotta have something, you know, like pool. But then like he really likes gardening, so like I totally built a greenhouse, and like a really cute little one. And then I was like, ooh, I want to give it like a little dome peak just to make it sort of different and funky, and unique, because I mean, in real life, like it would cost too much money and like be silly to spend that on just a little greenhouse. But when it's like fake money and it's The Sims, it's really fun to be able to kind of, you know, think about what life could really be like. And now that we have all the window, like I was really going hog wild with the whole window update. Like now that we can do all these like combos, I just like my brain was spinning. So you guys are gonna see a lot more like really different sort of entryway windows and doorway entries and all different kinds of stuff from me like going forward, just because now we just have so much more ability in that unlocked update. Like they say it's small, but it's actually makes a really huge difference in architecture and trying to get more true to design. Now, if we could just be able to float like walls in between the levels, I would be so happy. Because the problem is right now is like my house in real life, I have like a staircase that goes into a bump out that's in between the second and first floor. And then there's like a door under there, and then so it's got that like stairwell that then gets up to my second floor. But in The Sims, I can't really replicate that. I just have to make like a regular room that's 2 floors tall and then do the staircase up. But it would be neat to be able to put that in the middle like my house is, because then I have like a little 3rd floor area too that's got like my roof and all that kind of stuff, and then like more dormers because it's a 4 square. So I really wanted to kind of bring some of those like the dormers and the craftsman feel and a lot of that kind of stuff to this house. So you're just kind of seeing me tuck everything in at this point, getting all the different. Generally what I'll do is I'll go put the floors down first as soon as I start laying out my floor plan, so I can remember where my bathrooms are going. So then I'll automatically know like, oh, those are bedrooms. And I have to make sure that they're accessible to the main living space. Obviously, you don't want to walk through like a bedroom or something like that, or have to go back and change your plan like way later because you forgot a door, which I've had to do so many times. So right now I'm just painting up all the grass and getting the outside like really, really stoked, like just getting it really good and clean, nice. And because the gallery and trying to make decent, you know, screenshots and that kind of thing, I've been kind of going with the shorter landscaping just so that you can actually see the house a little bit better, which I would prefer to have tons of trees and that kind of stuff, but then it blocks the view of the house. So then nobody's probably gonna even want to look at your house in the gallery because, you know, it's just blocked by trees. Like here, I don't see it. What house? So now I'm planning hostas. I have hostas in real life. I call my house like the Hosta Yenda or Hacienda. Basically because I have so many different varieties of hostas that were pre-existing when I bought the house, and then we've added probably 2 or 3 times as many species since. So my house is, I either call it Fern Gully because I also have as many types of ferns probably, and the Hacienda. So yeah, just kind of bringing in all little baby hostas now at this point, because they kind of spread out like in your yard, so you could plant like a little clump of them, and then like over time, like depending on what kind you get, they may spread out into like rows and that kind of thing. And so, but like when they sprout up, they're little baby like sort of plants, and then they just, you know, kind of sprout down and down and down on down your fence row or whatever, if you get those kind, which I have some like on my property line. Okay, so with this, I just wanted to give it like a fun little outside gardening area, but then I looked at this element and I'm like, do I really want that? Like, I don't know. So it took me a moment, but then I was like, nah, I just can that. Like, I was like, I don't. But I did end up going with this sort of like really fun privacy fence sort of thing because I thought it'd be really fun to kind of create an illusion a little bit when you look through those and then see the fountain. I really, really like the way that I was able to kind of get this yard put together, just because I was able to fit quite a bit of landscaping in versus like obviously building a larger house, larger footprint. You're gonna not have as big of a yard, which is my case in real life. So if I were to like build like a free house or something that I could have and use, this would be something that I would do definitely, is have just a big porch that's kind of off and away from like the other neighbors so that you're not like getting, like you're not basically on their porch. So I'd have it like to the side like this one. And then I would, you know, definitely put it back away from like the road and all that kind of stuff too. And then just really give it a lot more like use and that kind of stuff with having like more of a big front yard and that kind of thing. So now I'm just getting in like my little bits of extra detail to the plan and kind of like finalizing the outsides up. And then the inside comes together pretty quickly. So we're assembling that now. First is kind of the kitchen. I generally will start doing that just so that I don't forget where I'm gonna put my cabinets. And then I'll go and like pick samples of each one that I like until I go through and I'm like, oh yes, I really like this one, or no, I don't like that. But it helps me kind of really decide quickly and like more efficiently, I think, by just kind of having the different pieces sitting there looking at them and then being able to copy from them for my like things, rather than having to go back and forth between the different kinds of countertops and all that kind of stuff, because it's just a lot of different ones. And sometimes like the automatic one I'll do for the base cabinets, but then the uppers, like there's just a lot of different upper options that I really definitely recommend checking out if you haven't. So I just wanted to keep this really simple, like easy to take care of, easy to clean, more timely, and just like accessible at a price point that makes sense like for real life. So it's like 172,000 simoleons in the gallery, which is still quite high for, I mean, a house, because, you know, they only start out with like 20K, but still like, unless it changed, it might have gone up a little bit. Like I've seen some like that have like a little bit more money, but I think it's because they're like in the game, you know, they're like, you know, getting a job and doing other things. So then all of a sudden they like get a little bit of money. And so like, you've never even played them before and they have like 24 or 5 or something like that. Cool. So now I'm just looking around and kind of getting a good scope at like how everything's shaping up in the kitchen. And then I'm like, I don't really know that I like the way that some of this is coming together. So I just kind of like tweaked it a little bit more, because in real life I have the double-decker cabinets sort of like this. So I really wanted to have that element in here. And then I just wanted to kind of create it to where it just had a lot of variety of countertops and counters and that sort of thing in here. So that's why we have like the two-toned base cabinets, that kind of thing. And then I just want to tuck in like a little area to watch TV, that kind of stuff. Nothing huge. It's like, who has time for that anymore? No, I'm kidding. I watch TV sometimes, but I don't get a lot of like TV time necessarily. A lot of it's obviously on YouTube these days, and then there's just a few little shows, but everything that I really would get into a lot of times just gets canceled, or they don't like, goes on hiatus forever, and then you never like get to see reruns or anything hardly either, so it's just kind of goofy. Okay, cool. So now I'm just kind of putting together the porch and getting all of that together. I really wanted more of like a little sort of beach vibe. We actually lived in Florida for a little bit, and so I wanted to pull that into this sort of front porch and just kind of give it that dream Floridian feel. And make it colorful and bright, but like also refined. Alrighty, and now from here, I actually go through and just start getting the rest of the public space together and pull the kitchen together a little bit more, because I just wanted to be able to make sure that it really had the most open design possible, and that also had a lot of function, because you'd need a lot of countertop space. So I wanted to really make sure that we had a really good, nice size island and a bar and then your regular countertops. So that's sort of like the way that we would want it like in real life, is like the twin. Woo, yes, it's so rad. But yeah, the twin countertops are just totally awesome. I love them. And then of course the little flower area. We have like a lot of different kinds of flowers. So like my husband, like he'll literally like bring in flowers like all the time from outside, and I'm just so surprised that we're like, he's like, we grew this, and I'm like, that, oh my gosh, like, oh wow, like that's so cool. And sometimes flowers are really pretty when they're dried too. Like I'll just sit there and like every day I'll like watch them dry a little bit more, and I'm like, ooh, those are pretty, and they smell so nice. It's like better than going and buying a can of something to have to spray or something to have to melt or burn or something like that. So now I'm just getting our little laundry room together, because kind of when I first started building it, I was like, ooh, I need a laundry room space. But I was like, I could just squeeze out a couple little cubes out of each way out of that little extra area there and have a decent amount of space. Because this is ideal for like maybe 2 people, or like, you know, starter family, that kind of thing. So either like empty nesters or beginners. Cool. And I just like, again, a little bit more of the homey touches here with all the clutter and decorating. I really like being able to do this when I can. So now I'm just kind of changing up the kitchen design, like the colors a little bit, because I wanted it to kind of stand out away from the rest of the room colors. So you're gonna see like the change of the colors happen, and like soon they'll just be slightly like different. I keep tweaking them as I look at them, because I didn't want the house to be like too blue or too like of anything certain. Oh, and yes, don't mind all these like tombstones around. Apparently there was like an incident that happened near this house, which is why it was so affordable for the property. But they can't guarantee whether or not it's like a burial ground or if it's haunted, or what is lurking beneath in the sewers. Like they don't even talk about it around, so just be careful. But yeah, so I can't move that because it's not on my property line. So we get to have a view of at least one grave. I'm not sure. We have like a little mini cemetery next door. And then I think a couple of the previous homeowners, because like I wasn't playing all of my Sims, and I also forgot to toggle off autonomous aging for all Sims. So that's literally what my setting was set to. And so like a bunch of my Sims died. And so then I went around to look, and it was like different families, and I was like, I didn't make them. And then I realized that I also had like autonomous family creation or whatever enabled. So it's literally just Sims I was creating were dying, and then they were being replaced by these random buggy, weird, glitchy Sims that had like glitchy names that don't even look correct, or make any sense, and then they don't quite look like they make any sense. And then so they're like moving in, and I also have like unlimited Sims, so then it was like ended up being like almost 300 Sims are like all in my neighborhood. So I'm gonna have to like kind of go back and clean that up a little bit now, because I can, since I changed like the natural progression, like I changed all that stuff. So now it'll only work with my plate houses, and it'll only work like while I have them open. So I would highly recommend looking at those settings if you don't, because you might wake up one day and be like, oh my gosh, all the families I created, I have to put them into my neighborhood from scratch. Great. Okay, so now I'm just getting the rest of the bathrooms kind of together. And I really love the Jungle Adventure, all the tiles that came with it, all of the like stucco. It's a whole nother level of texture above like what came in the base game. So, you know, those are sort of the little Easter eggs sometimes that you get from like all these different builds of The Sims, and then all these different packs and just content that they've added, updates and that sort of stuff. that like some of the original stuff just looks really, you know, kind of scary a little bit. Like you can go and see like there's YouTube videos that'll show like where people show like what it looks like this year versus like 2014, like the textures and just everything were just like they're so much better now because like fortunately technology's really come up a lot to where, you know, they can really display a lot higher detail. Because back in the day, I mean, you can do like uncompressed textures or 3D textures or anything like that. So it's really neat to see like what more could be if they just kind of, you know, updated the textures on some of the other stuff maybe from the beginning and circle back to that a little bit more. Because like those matted carpets and stuff, like I always I mostly like skip past all the carpet because it just looks not realistic at all. The textures are really off to me. So the only ones that I really use are like the chevron, and a couple times I'll use like the carpets from Vampires because at least the texture is a little bit better, but they just look like decals almost. But then the rugs are more vibrant and they have like a lot more color and detail to the texture and that kind of thing. So it would be neat if, you know, someday they didn't look like MS Paint tiles for like a lot of our flooring options. But especially ones like, I really like the ones that are marble, that kind of stuff, because I feel like they put a little bit more time in it. And especially the little tiles are really great. So now I'm getting in all of my little clutter decorations, that sort of stuff for all the bathrooms. Grandma would like love that other bedroom I'm gonna put together. Can't even wait for you to see what that's gonna be like. Okay, so this one could be used as a bedroom. So I'm actually like offering this as a 4-bedroom, but really it's a 3, but it is technically a 4. But I'm just using one of them as a dual office space, but it could be converted to like, you know, a nursery or a bedroom or whatever you want. If you want to, you know, knit all day in a dark room, you could certainly do that too. But it's at least got the bay window. But I thought that'd be really fun to utilize for like an office rather than, because like some people use it for a kitchen and stuff, but then you can't really use that window for that many things. So I thought it's better to maximize it for the overall, like make the room feel bigger. Okay, so now I'm just putting together those 2 bedrooms plus that 3rd one over there. So this one I designed for like just the kids, and then the parents would be on the other one. Or maybe there's like a teenager like or a young adult living in one side, the kids are on the other side, and then the parents are over in that other bedroom. There's just a variety of different ways you could really split up beds in the house here in this one. And that's really what I wanted it to be, was very versatile. So that, you know, if you're like an empty nester, you're, you know, like retired and you have family or whoever to come over to swim and then they like stay the night or whatever, then they can. And then I wanted to create sort of like a throwback Jurassic Park and Jurassic World a little bit, one of my favorite franchises I love. And so I put in a bunch of those T-Rexes there in the bedrooms because I kind of wanted to make it like a very almost Jurassic Park inspired bedroom. So it's got a lot of like just color and design to give it that sort of feel. Like if you were to design like a bedroom Jurassic Park theme Sim style without any like Jurassic Park content necessarily. So that's kind of what I was thinking about, was like designing something of that caliber maybe. So now we've got all of our like decorations are pretty much done in most of the house at this point, just kind of finishing up this last bedroom. This is the master. Basically, I had enough space for closets for those. Grandma's bedroom doesn't have a closet, but she does have an ability to do her makeup and all that kind of stuff, or you could use it as a makeup ready room, or maybe even a bedroom for your makeup stylist if your glam squad just lives with you. I know some people are blessed enough to have that, so that's more power to them if they do, and then there's a space for them. But yeah, so I thought maybe it would be fun for Grandma though. Cool. And then there's just a lot of like room where you could really change it and however you want to make it. But I thought I would give you guys a really good like way to just kind of like breadcrumbs and ideas to kind of get you going on some things. Okay, so now I'm just getting in the last of the plants. I really like being able to do either lighting or like a big framed art behind the bed, because I feel like it just frames out the space a lot, and it almost looks like hotel quality in a way, but it's just another like good touch to have, because it just makes it again kind of feel more authentic. And then it could also be like an expression of like the person that sleeps there's personality, or like what you aspire for them to be, or they aspire to be, depending on how you want to look at it. So now I'm just kind of getting some more landscaping and lighting and that kind of stuff in and around the greenhouse and the greater area. I wish I had a clothesline in real life, but I wouldn't want one in the city, like where I live, because I feel like it would just smell dirty anyway when they would come back in, so I wouldn't want that. Okay, so now I really wanted to also do like fountains, like jets and stuff in a pool, because I think it'd be really fun to be able to jump off and go through them and that kind of thing, so I did that. Okay, so it's still called the abandoned lot, but now we're gonna change it. It's a ranch for my niece, and you guys can go get it in the gallery now. So this is for my husband. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Stay proud and go out and do something magical.